Welcome to my next Lost Season 6 episode review video. Before I get into that, though, pretty important. If you aren't caught up to the point where I am in rewatching or watching Lost, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description. If that happens to be the case, if you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this detailed review any further to avoid any potential spoilers. And full disclosure, obviously, I've already seen the show Lost 3 other times. It's in my top 5 favorite TV shows of all time. I absolutely love it. So join me on the journey that's almost over with, along with the legendary Crazy Coffee Man, who's actually watching Lost for the very first time, in the comments section to discuss this awesome and amazing show. However, I don't want you to write anything that do with spoilers that happens after this episode in this detailed review. So with all that said, this will be Lost, Season 6, Episode 16. The title of this episode is called What They Died For. And this will be my review reaction recap after just finishing watching the episode. We start off with a flash sideways of Jack wakes up in his apartment looking in the bathroom mirror. He finds that the injury to his left side of his neck that he first noticed on the flight back from Sydney is bleeding. As he cleans it, David tells him that he has made breakfast. David checks that Jack is coming to the concert that evening and tells Jack that his mom is coming as well. David tells Jack not to get all weird because of his mom being there. Claire joins them for breakfast as Jack receives a call telling him that the airline has found the missing cargo, Christian Shepherd's casket. Jack assumes that his father's coffin has been found. Desmond is in a car speaking to Jack on his cell phone. He has been posing as a representative of Oceanic Airlines. Back to the island, Jack prepares to stitch Kate's shoulder wound. Kate is pale and emotional. As Jack stitches, she reflects on Jiyoung, remarking that Jin hadn't even met his own daughter. She and Jack concede bitterly that the fake Locke, the man in black, must be killed. Sawyer and Hurley watch as the sea washes from Floatstream from the destroyed sub. Kate leans on Sawyer's shoulder as a deep sadness consumes them all. At Jack's urging, they set off to find Desmond in the well that Saeed mentioned. Jack acknowledges that if fake Locke wants Desmond, then we're going to need him. Back to the flash sideways, John Locke returns to school, recovered, and is welcomed by a student. Desmond is watching from his parked car as Locke wheels across the parking lot in his wheelchair. Desmond starts his car. Ben jumps in front of the car and shouts for somebody to call the police. This Ben in this flash sideways is freaking awesome. Desmond gets out of the car and punches Ben in the face. As Ben is held down on the hood, he says he won't let Desmond hurt Locke again. Calmly, Desmond tells him that he is not there to hurt him, but help Locke let go. Ben asks who he is, and Desmond replies by saying, "Do you want to know who I am?" And then he beats Ben violently. While he is being punched, Ben has a flash of Desmond beating him while they were at the marina in Los Angeles, Dead is Dead episode. Desmond leaves with Ben confused and laying beaten and bruised on the ground. On the island, of course, Miles, Ben, and Richard approach the barracks by a shortcut known to Ben. Richard asks if Ben has enough explosives, and Ben confirms he has enough to destroy the plane 10 times over. He says that the C4 in his secret room behind the bookcase, it's where it is. When they arrive at the barracks, Miles senses something dead nearby. Ben asks Miles what is wrong. When Miles won't reveal what it is, Richard tells Ben that he buried Alex here where she died. And then Ben, "Thank you, Richard." Inside Ben's home, he opens the safe. He says that he learned he could summon the monster from his secret room, adding that he now realizes the monster was actually summoning him. Richard tells Ben that they want to blow the plane to hell, so they take all 6 packs of C4. They hear a noise and find Zoe in the kitchen. Charles Whitmore enters and sends Zoe to the dock to retrieve he wants her to sink the outrigger. I put retrieve their stores. I don't know what I meant there. Ben holds Whitmore at gunpoint. Ben tries to prevent her from leaving, but Charles Whitmore explains that she is Ben's last chance of survival, and Zoe leaves. Noticing the C4 and establishing it's to blow up the plane, Charles Whitmore tells Ben that he's had the plane rigged with explosives since he arrived and is, as usual, 3 steps ahead of Benjamin Linus. When Ben asks him how he got to the island, Charles Whitmore explains that Jacob came to see him after Ben destroyed the freighter. Ben says that Whitmore is lying, but Whitmore says Jacob showed him the error of his ways and persuaded him to return, telling him all he needed to know for this exact purpose. Before he can explain the purpose, Zoe radios that Fake Locke, the man in black, has arrived, and Charles Whitmore orders her to return immediately and urges everyone else to hide. Back to our flash sideways, the school nurse treats Ben for his injuries. He looks at himself in the mirror as John Locke wheels in and asks what happened. Ben replies that he was in a fight with the man who ran John Locke over. He tells him that the strangest thing happened while he was being beaten, that he saw something. Locke uses his phone to call the police, but Ben advises against it. He tells Locke that the man was trying to get Locke to go, or to let go, not to hurt him, and that for some reason he believed him. At the LAPD, the officer that answered that call, Locke, of course, hangs up. So Desmond arrives at the LAPD and asks to see a detective. Meanwhile, Miles is reminding James Ford about the benefit concert set for that evening at his dad's museum. He asks Ford to go on his date, but when Ford discovers that the redhead he went out on a blind date with, Charlotte, will also be there, he passes. Desmond is brought to Ford and Strahm, Miles, and James, and turns himself in for running John Locke over and beating up Benjamin Linus. Desmond is taken to a holding cell. He smiles as he joins Saeed and Kate in the cells. "Good afternoon, and how are you doing today," is what he says. Back to the island, Sawyer wonders why the man in black, Fake Locke, didn't just kill Desmond. Jack suggests maybe it was one of his rules. Sawyer suggests that he himself was responsible for the deaths on the sub because he attempted to defuse the bomb against Jack's advice. Jack insists that he, meaning the man in black, Fake Locke, killed them. Just behind them, Hurley notices the young Jacob standing by an ancient hut. The mysterious boy suddenly appears in front of Hurley and demands that the ashes that Ilana gathered. As Hurley asks what he wants them for, the boy snatches them and runs off. Hurley chases him and comes across adult Jacob seated by a fire. Jacob tells Hurley that the ashes are in the fire and that when the fire goes out, he will not be seen again, adding, "We are very close to the end." Stepping off the outrigger, Fake Locke, the man in black, sees Charles Whitmore's outrigger packed with metal cases and walks on. Miles decides to escape via the jungle rather than hiding, and then Ben says that he will not run or hide because he will find him sooner or later anyway. He takes Charles Whitmore's walkie-talkies, keeping one and giving the other one to Miles so they can still communicate with each other. Richard Alpert puts down his rifle and says he is going to talk to him. He says he just wants Richard to join him, and talking to him will give them a chance. Miles says good luck with that and then kind of takes off. Richard goes outside. The smoke monster rushes at him and thrusts him into the air. Ben turns in fear and very deliberately sits in a chair on his porch. The Fake Locke, the man in black, joins him, saying he is just the man he was looking for. And then he pulls out his large knife and sits. Locke says that he needs Benjamin Linus to kill some people for him, and that in return he can't have the whole island to himself. Or he can have the whole island to himself. Ben agrees. Locke asks about the other outrigger, and Ben tells him it is Charles Whitmore's and that Whitmore is hiding inside. Back to our flash sideways, Alex runs up to help Dr. Linus, who now sports a sling and can't get his car keys out. She wonders why anyone would want to hurt the nicest guy ever. She insists that she and her mother give him a lift home. Alex takes Ben to his car where Danielle Russo introduces herself. They insist on having him over for dinner, and Danielle says that Ben will come to dinner even if I have to kidnap you. Danielle Russo is pleased to cook for someone other than Alex. She tells Ben that Alex's father died when Alex was 2, and that Ben is actually the closest thing to a father that Alex has ever had. Ben is touched by this comment and chokes back a sob, and tears well up in his eyes. He passes it off as the onions. Ben looks at Danielle closely as she says that next time she won't use so many onions. Back to the island, Fake Locke and Benjamin Linus go inside, and Ben shows Fake Locke where Whitmore and Zoe are. Fake Locke tells him to wait outside, but Ben says he wants to see this. When he turns the light on in the hidden room, Ben says, "Sorry, Charles." And then Fake Locke asks who Zoe is, and as she starts to reply, Whitmore tells her not to talk or say anything. And then Fake Locke reacts by slashing Zoe's throat. He says that as Whitmore told her not to talk to him, that made her pointless. Fake Locke tells Whitmore that to motivate him, to tell him that he wants to know the first thing he will do when he is off the island is to kill Charles Whitmore's daughter, Penelope Penny. He gives his word that he won't kill her if Whitmore talks to him. Whitmore says he brought Desmond back because of his unique resistance to electromagnetism, and that he was a measure of last resort. Whitmore tells the Man in Black he won't say anything more in front of Ben. Locke asks him to whisper in his ears. As he whispers, Ben shoots Charles Whitmore dead with the pistol, and Ben says he doesn't get to save his daughter. Wow. Fake Locke says that Ben never ceases to amaze him, but Whitmore had already told him what he needed to know. Ben then asks whether there are some other people to kill, and Fake Locke gives him a gloating look like, oh yeah. As night falls, Hurley leads Kate, Sawyer, and Jack to Jacob's fire. Jacob greets them by their first names. Hurley is surprised that they can all see Jacob now. Kate asks Jacob whether he is the one who wrote the names on the wall, and whether it was candidacy that ultimately led to their deaths. She also demands to know that Jin, Sun, and Saeed didn't die for nothing. Jacob says that he will tell the group what they died for and why he chose them. He adds that by the time the fire is out, one of them will have to take his place as protector of the island. Back to our flash sideways, John Locke stops by Jack's office. He remarks about the photo of Jack, David, and Christian Shepherd, which Jack says was last year's Thanksgiving. Locke observes that he and Jack were on the same flight from Sydney, that he was hit by a car. Of all doctors in Los Angeles, he happened to be treated by Jack. Then the same man who ran him down beat up a teacher at his school today and said that he wasn't there to hurt Locke, but to help let go, and that these were the same words Jack had used when they were last together. Jack asks if Locke thinks it was him who ran him over, but Locke says that he doesn't think that, and adds that maybe this is happening for a reason, and that Jack is supposed to fix him. Jack suggests that he is mistaken coincidence with fate, and Locke says whatever it is called, he is ready to get out of his chair. Back on the island, Jacob explains that a very long time ago he made a mistake, and as a result there is a good chance that everyone is going to die. He acknowledges that he is responsible for the current state of the Man in Black. The monster has been trying to kill him, and that when it succeeded, someone would have to replace him. That is why he brought them all to the island. Challenged by Sawyer, Jacob explains that he didn't drag anyone out of a happy existence, but that they were all flawed, just like him. He says he chose them all because they were all like him, all alone, all looking for something that they couldn't find. He says he chose them because they needed the island as much as the island needed them. Jacob tells Kate her name was crossed off because she became a mother, but that she is not disqualified. He explains that the task for the candidate is to protect the light at the center of the island. Jacob says that they must do what he couldn't do, kill him. Jack asks whether that is even possible, and Jacob says that he hopes so, because he is certainly going to try to kill all of them. Jacob offers the remaining candidates something he never had, a choice. Choose themselves of who will take his place. Jack accepts, acknowledging that he is on the island for this very purpose, and Jacob asks Jack to affirm this decision and is pleased when he does. Jacob takes Jack to the creek as others watch from a distance. Jacob tells Jack to find the light at the heart of the island, explaining that while Jack has never seen the light before, he will be able to find it now that he has been chosen to protect the island. Jacob asks Jack for a tin cup, which he fills with water, recites an incarnation, and solemnly offers the cup to Jack. Before he drinks, Jack asks about the duration of the job he's about to accept, and Jacob tells him that he must do it as long as he can. And Jack drinks. Jacob embraces him and says, "Now you are like me." Back to our flash sideways. James Ford arrives at the cells to hand over Saeed, Desmond, and Kate for transfer. Kate makes her last bid for James Ford to let her go, but while he looks tempted, he tells her that it isn't going to happen. As they are traveling in the wagon, a smiling Desmond says that it is time to leave. Saeed says he is a crazy person who turned himself in. Desmond particularly confirms by saying that he ran over a guy in a wheelchair. He accepts that he is crazy, but says the issue is whether or not they want to get out of here or not. He says that when the driver stops, he will need their trust because after he sets them free, he will exact a promise from each of them to do something. Kate and Saeed both make their promise skeptically. Like, okay, I'm a skeptic, but I'll agree. The wagon pulls to a stop, and Officer Cortez, Ana Lucia, frees the three, asking for her payoff. A yellow Hummer arrives, and Hugo Hurley jumps out. He remarks that he hadn't known Ana Lucia was going to be there, but then realizes he shouldn't have said that when Ana Lucia says she doesn't know him. He gives her $125,000. Hurley asks Desmond whether she is coming with them, but he says that she isn't ready yet. Ana Lucia leaves. Hurley points out that his Camaro parked nearby, including the keys and the other things they'll need. Saeed goes with Hurley while Kate accompanies Desmond, who takes a cocktail dress from the trunk of the Camaro and tells her, "We are going to a concert." Back on the island, Fake Locke leads Ben through the jungle. Ben asks why he bothers walking if he can just be the smoke at any time, and Locke says he likes to feel his feet on the ground as it reminds him of when he was a human. They arrive at the well and see it empty. Fake Locke says obviously Saeed didn't kill Desmond. Ben notices that there is a rope hanging in the well. He says that someone helped Desmond out of the well, but Locke says that actually someone helped him out. Ben says that what Whitmore said to him, Fake Locke tells him that he said Desmond was a failsafe, that if he killed the beloved candidates, he was the final way for Jacob to be sure that he would never leave this place. Ben asks why Fake Locke, the man in black, is happy that Desmond is still free, and Fake Locke says that when he finds Desmond, he will get him to do the one thing he never could do, destroy the island, and that's what ends this episode of Lost. So I'm going to give the episode an 8.5 out of 10. My characters of the episode are going to be Benjamin Linus, Jack Shepard, and I'm going to give it to Jacob as well. You could argue for other people. And, we have the finale of Lost left, which is a 2-part episode, so I'll be doing both those in the same video. It's probably going to be a longer video because that's the final episode, but there is an epilogue episode that was on the Blu-ray, and I'm not sure if it was on the DVD or not, so I'll do a review of that as well, but it's just kind of something they threw together, like, oh, and for all the unanswered questions, here's this. It does have some people from the show in it. It's like a mini episode, so I'll be doing a review of that, and there's a couple other Lost things that I'll let all you Lost fans know about. So you've heard everything that I have to say. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Lost and want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you Hulk smash the like button, share this video with a friend, especially that likes Lost. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on this episode of Lost. What would you rate it, and whom would you choose as a character or characters of the episode? And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel. Help me get over 100,000 subscribers. Yes, I know I set my goals high. Join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV.